Sister wore white to my wedding and announced her engagement during my vows. The DJ had other plans. The chapel was perfect. Soft light streamed through stained glass windows, casting jeweled patterns across 200 guests. The string quartet had just finished Pachelbel's canon, and my father was walking me down the aisle in the vintage lace dress I'd saved 3 years to afford. Everything was exactly as I'd dreamed, until I saw her. My sister Sophia stood at the end of the third row, and she was wearing white. Not cream, not ivory, not champagne. Pure, pristine, attention-demanding white, complete with a cathedral-length train that she'd arranged to spill dramatically into the aisle. My name is Harmony Wells, and I should have known that my wedding day would become Sophia's stage. It always had been. My steps faltered for just a moment. Dad squeezed my arm, whispering, "Don't let her win, sweetheart." But Sophia had already won something. Every eye in that chapel tracked between us, comparing, whispering behind programs. The mother of the groom looked scandalized. My college roommates were taking photos, not of me, but of the spectacle. I made it to the altar where Marcus waited, his jaw clenched with the kind of controlled fury that made me love him even more. He took my hands, and for a moment, just a moment, everyone else disappeared. The officiant began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." That's when Sophia stood up. The rustle of her dress, she'd clearly practiced this, drew every eye. She actually stepped into the aisle, her white gown catching the light like a spotlight she'd arranged herself. "Since we're all here," she announced, her voice carrying to the back rows with theatrical precision, "I have wonderful news to share. Jeremy and I are engaged." She thrust her left hand into the air, a massive diamond catching the light. The timing was surgical, right during my vows, ensuring maximum impact and minimum opportunity for me to respond. The chapel erupted. Gasps, murmurs, several phones coming out to capture the drama. My great-aunt actually applauded before my mother shot her a death glare. Jeremy, sitting in the 5th row, looked pleased with himself, already standing to join his moment in the spotlight. But I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at my DJ, positioned perfectly at the back of the venue with his equipment for the reception. Tommy and I had been friends since high school. He knew Sophia's history, knew what she was capable of, which is why I'd given him a very special video file the night before, just in case. He caught my eye. I gave the smallest nod. The chapel's sound system crackled to life, and suddenly a woman's voice filled the space, breathy, intimate, unmistakably recorded without knowledge. "God, Jeremy, we shouldn't be doing this. You're getting married next month." Jeremy's face went from proud to pale in 3 seconds flat. His voice came next, clear as day. "She doesn't have to know. Besides, after the wedding, you'll have access to her trust fund. We can be set for life. Just 6 months of marriage, then a quickie divorce. She's so desperate to get married before her little sister that she didn't even ask for a prenup." The video started playing on the pull-down screen we'd set up for the ceremony slideshow. Security footage from the Hilton downtown, timestamp from last Tuesday. Jeremy in the elevator with a redhead who definitely wasn't Sophia, their hands all over each other. Sophia's scream cut through the audio. "That's not, he wouldn't, turn it off." But Tommy wasn't done. The screen shifted to screenshots of text messages. "Jeremy, your sister's so gullible. She actually thinks I love her. Unknown number, just remember our deal. Once you get the money, we disappear. Jeremy, 6 months maximum. I've played devoted fiancé to worse." The chapel had gone from wedding to war zone. Sophia lunged toward the back, her white train tangling in the pews as she tried to reach the DJ booth. Jeremy was pushing through the crowd toward the exit, phones tracking his every move. My mother had buried her face in her hands. My father was trying very hard not to smile. Marcus squeezed my hands, pulling my attention back to him. "Now," he asked quietly. "Now," I agreed. The officiant, a consummate professional who'd clearly seen everything in 30 years of ceremonies, cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should continue with the actual wedding." Sophia was screaming at Tommy, demanding he stop, but 2 of Marcus's groomsmen, both former college rugby players, had formed a casual but effective barrier. Jeremy had made it to the door only to find my cousin Beth, a divorce attorney, handing him her business card with a predatory smile. "I take you, Marcus," I said, my voice carrying over the chaos, "to be my lawfully wedded husband." Heads turned back to us. Sophia, realizing she was losing the spotlight, tried one more desperate play. "This is fake. Harmony made this up because she's jealous." The screen changed again. This time it was Sophia's Instagram, but from a private account none of us were supposed to know about. Post after post about Operation White Wedding, her plan to upstage me, complete with polls asking her followers whether she should announce during the vows or the first dance. The most damning post was from 3 months ago. Convinced Jeremy to propose right before my sister's wedding. This is going to be epic. She's always been the golden child, but not anymore. #sister revenge, #all eyes on me. In sickness and in health, Marcus continued, his voice steady and sure. Sophia had gone silent, standing in the aisle in her white dress that now seemed less like a power play and more like a surrender flag. The entire congregation was witnessing her humiliation in real time, her own words condemning her. To love and to cherish, I said, looking only at Marcus now. Jeremy had disappeared entirely, probably halfway to his car. Though he'd find the doors mysteriously superglued shut, Tommy had many talents and a cousin who worked in auto repair. Till death do us part, we said in unison. The officiant smiled. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. When Marcus kissed me, the chapel erupted in genuine applause. Not the polite golf claps of a society wedding, but real, emotional celebration from people who'd just watched Karma deliver a masterclass in timing. Sophia stood frozen in the aisle, her white dress now a costume for a play that had been cancelled. Mascara streaked down her cheeks in parallel black lines. The engagement ring Jeremy had given her, probably purchased with her own credit card based on what we'd just heard, glinted mockingly on her finger. Ladies and gentlemen, the officiant announced with barely suppressed glee, I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Marcus Chen. The string quartet, absolute professionals, began the recessional march. Marcus and I walked down the aisle, past the shell-shocked guests, past my stunned mother, past my father who gave me the tiniest wink, and past Sophia, who stood like a white-wrapped statue of her own hubris. As we passed, I stopped. Just for a moment. The dress is beautiful, I said quietly enough that only she could hear. You should save it. Maybe for your next engagement. The reception was legendary. Not because of the perfect centerpieces or the 5-tier cake or even the band we'd flown in from Nashville. It was legendary because everyone had witnessed something better than a wedding. They'd witnessed justice served at exactly the right temperature. Sophia left before cocktail hour, her white dress trailing behind her like a ghost of bad decisions. Jeremy's things were apparently already being thrown out of her apartment by her roommate, who'd been watching the whole thing on FaceTime. During the speeches, Tommy the DJ got a standing ovation when Marcus thanked him for his technical expertise and perfect timing. My maid of honor, who'd been in on the plan, gave a toast about sisters who lift each other up and sisters who try to steal your spotlight, and how to tell the difference. But the best moment came during the father-daughter dance. My dad held me close and whispered, You know, I was worried about how you'd handle her today. I should have known you'd learned something from all those chess games we played. Always think 3 moves ahead, I quoted back to him. And always protect your queen, he added, spinning me gracefully as the photographer captured what would become our favorite photo. Both of us laughing while in the background, slightly out of focus, you could just make out the DJ booth where Karma had been served. The video went viral, of course. Someone's +1 turned out to be a social media influencer who'd captured the whole thing. #wedding crasher sister trended for 3 days. Jeremy apparently fled the state. Sophia blocked everyone on social media and last I heard, she'd moved to Portland and was finding herself through pottery. But that night, as Marcus and I slow danced to our song, none of that mattered. The guests had all agreed it was the most entertaining wedding they'd ever attended. The catering manager camped our bar tab because that was better than dinner theater. And my sister had learned a valuable lesson about wearing white to someone else's wedding. No regrets. Marcus asked as we swayed together. None, I said, meaning it. She made her choice when she stood up during our vows. And you made yours when you gave Tommy that video. Actually, I admitted, I gave him 3 different videos, depending on what she did. This was the medium option. Marcus pulled back to look at me. What was the nuclear option? I smiled. Let's just say her browser history is very interesting, and leave it at that. He laughed, pulling me closer. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Just don't wear white to my wedding, I said. Oh wait, too late. As we laughed together, I caught a glimpse of us in the mirror-backed bar, me in my vintage lace, him in his classic tuxedo, looking exactly like the couple I'd dreamed we'd be. Sophia had tried to steal this moment, to make my wedding day about her, just like she'd done at every birthday, graduation, and celebration my entire life. But she'd forgotten one crucial thing. I wasn't the same little sister who used to cry when she blew out my birthday candles by accident. I was a grown woman who'd learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad. It's getting married while your sister's world implodes to her own soundtrack. The DJ played one last song as the night wound down, and I couldn't help but smile at his choice, White Wedding. Because sometimes, irony is the best wedding gift of all.